Okay, cool. Well, I'll start screen sharing here, and we usually give everybody a couple moments to show up. It inevitably takes a little while for folks to trickle in, and in the meantime, I'll just start just sharing broadly about what the call is, what we tried to accomplish in the 30 minutes of the call. And then we'll sort of dip into the agenda. As always, this is recorded and we post it up on YouTube and then share it back. I think there's a sort of broad asynchronous audience. Before I jump in, Dan, I had meant to ping Cambium and I think I forgot to do that. Do you mind just pinging Paul and Will on Discord just to see? They usually show up, and I'm hoping they can just do a quick share about their work on the data module.
Oh, okay,
If
sure.
not, it could happen in 2 weeks, but
Sure.
cool. All right. Well, so without further ado, I'll get cracking and we'll carry on. So welcome to the June 8th edition of Regen Network Community Dev Call. We try to give people a bit of news from the ecosystem, in usually including key governance information, any roadmap updates, a little bit of news from the ecosystem. We also are trying to weave in voices from both within R&D Inc. and Regen Foundation about work that's happening, and then the broader ecosystem. So today is a pretty packed news day. But we do try to get through the news in 15 minutes and leave about 15 minutes for conversation. I think that's happened maybe once. And usually we end up spending the full 30 minutes kind of going through news. This is meant to be just kind of a central place for everything that's happening in a pretty busy ecosystem to be reported back. If there's need, we can start to extend the call or have other venues. For now, we're having this on Zoom. I think there has been some conversation about moving this over to Discord. We'll see about how that all goes. So with that framing, I'll jump into the agenda here. Let me just hit the slideshow here. So yeah, so we're going to talk briefly about Regenerati NewsHour. There's some links to past shows. Then we're going to move into Regen Ledger Gov updates, talk briefly about the Climate Wiki proposal to the community, hand it over to Ryan to walk us through Regen Ledger 4.0. Might be useful to have a quick pause if people have questions or comments there. That's a really important conversation. I'll share a little bit about the currency allow list, which is in the forum, which is a param change that as a community is about to be moving into governance, signaling governance vote about the principles for the community to then make future currency allow list decisions. Dan is going to share a little bit about Stargaze NFT integration, Storybot, some other cool stuff happening there. My hope is to do a brief bridge detail update. I might lean on you, Ryan, to chat about that, or I can at least broadly talk about that. And then, as always, people can sort of have a quick look at the market and liquidity update. Headliner there, nothing is good in today's bear market. All right, so without further ado, so Regenerati NewsHour, just a reminder to everybody, 1600 UTC, we have a fun space on Twitter to talk about. It's a little different from this, right? It's much more conversational. Community members are dialoguing about important topics. Lots of exciting conversations happening there. We're also going to start feeding that up into the Planetary Regeneration podcast. There's also a playlist on YouTube if you want to listen to stuff. There's been some really cool conversations. AI and active inferencing, data science, indigenous governance. We're not it's not your normal sort of crypto shill space. It's right. We're really sort of digging in and geeking out on certain topics. So it's pretty fun. So without further ado, we'll keep trucking along here. So governance discussions. As always, please go check out these discussions, chime in, share your thoughts. I'm particularly keen to hear people. Well, I mean, the Climate Wiki stuff is live right now. we're really keen to get any feedback and thinking about Regen Ledger 4.0. And then it's also this signaling proposal about how to make decisions about the allow list is really important, because the marketplace is going to be launching here pretty soon. So we're going to be escalating that up into the governance proposal, and then hopefully have a couple currencies moving through the gov process. So these are the three big ones. Ryan, can I pass the baton over to you to share a little bit about Regen Ledger 4?
Yeah, so on Friday, we cut a beta release, beta 1 of 4.0, and we started the community forum discussion, as Gregory mentioned. I provided an update on what the features are that we're including, as well as some improvements that we're including, and an estimated time frame. So what you're seeing here on the screen is essentially copied and pasted from that forum discussion, which is our initial estimate on time frame. This is the earliest potential upgrade date would be June 24th. This is definitely subject to change, as we are currently working on the bridge service and making sure that all that functionality is going to be aligned and set up, because we want to make sure that we include all those changes that we need to make prior to launching 4.0 so that the bridge service will be ready. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Next slide, please. So yeah, the community forum discussion includes a lot of these updates and maybe a little bit more detail. And I've talked about these previously on other calls. The main features that we're adding here is marketplace functionality to support creating sell orders and buying, or users will be able to buy directly against those orders. There is a question of whether an interface is going to be included that we'll post it in the community forum discussion, and that is something that our interface team is working on and planning on launching soon after the 4.0 upgrade. So there will be a user interface for all this, and it won't be CLI specific, but yes, as always, all this functionality that's included in Regen Ledger is available using the CLI as well. And then the second main feature is adding project support to the core functionality of the EcoCredit module. So I've mentioned this as on-chain projects. In the current implementation, projects are created under a credit class, and we are working on designs to basically create permissionless projects, or have permissionless project creation. But currently the issuer of a credit class is the only any issuer from a credit class is the only address allowed to create a project under that credit class. And in the future, with permissionless projects, we're planning to basically allow someone to create a project that's not associated with any credit class, and then essentially apply to a credit class. So that's something to look forward to in the future. But in this initial implementation for 4.0, projects are under a credit class, and basically all that project information that used to be included in the credit batch is now stored in a project as a separate entity. And then in so doing, we had to upgrade the credit batch denom to include the project ID. So the community forum discussion provides some examples in what this would look like in 4.0, but essentially we're adding the project ID to the credit batch denom and updating the existing batch denoms to apply to that new format. And then as far as the data module goes, that's the other main big feature that we're adding here. The data module has been in alpha and available on the experimental test network using the experimental build option for quite some time. And we've finally allotted some time to clean this up and get it moving. And Will and Paul are actually on the call, and we'll talk a little bit about this later, but they're working on designing an interface or a pinning service for that interacts with the data module. So that's exciting stuff. But the initial implementation of the data module doesn't store data on chain. We moved away from this for this initial implementation, and it focuses on anchoring data. So basically taking or creating a content hash of the data that is then anchored on chain. And this is also known as secure timestamping. And then addresses are able to attest to the veracity of that data essentially signing off and saying that the data is true to their understanding. And the initial use case for this functionality is to basically all the metadata for credit classes, projects, and credit batches will be anchored on chain, and then the IRI that's created, which is a unique identifier, will be stored in the metadata field. So that unique identifier basically includes the content hash as well as some other canonical recording. Yeah, I just heard it echo. But so yeah, the data module first version will be included in 4.0, and we're really excited about this. And I can answer other questions too, but I think there's one more slide for 4.0. Yeah, in addition, some other improvements that we're making. We migrated to this new ORM storage model. The ORM package is being built in the SDK, and it's something that the Regen Ledger team started and worked on alongside the group module. And this is going to improve feature development in the future. It provides better indexing, primary and secondary keys for looking up data tables in Regen Ledger. So it's an improvement over the traditional just KV store provided by the SDK, and it acts as an abstraction layer over that. And then also we're working on this functionality for dynamic batch minting, which is specifically related to supporting the bridge service. So essentially assets that are bridged over from Polygon or another chain in the future will be dynamically minted into an existing credit batch, so that we're not creating a new credit batch for each bridge event or each token. So the credits will remain fungible within the given credit batch that they're being minted to. So if credits from the same vintage are bridged over to Regen Network, they'll be matched up to the same credit batch and dynamically minted to that existing credit batch. But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of information. A lot of it is information that I've already provided in previous calls as we were working towards 4.0. And the main big update is that we have tagged a beta, and we are working towards a release candidate phase. And hopefully we'll have something ready and on chain in the coming weeks.
Thanks, Ryan. Questions, comments? Insta, you're on mute again. Okay, great. If you have questions, please feel free to share.
Hi, Greg. Sorry for that. That was my mistake. No question.
Okay, no worries. Cool. Well, we'll keep trucking along here. There's a lot. I think we're inching towards what we all consider to be the minimum viable expression of Regen Network as articulated in the white paper. This is a monumental leap forward. There's still a few big pieces. I'd say just high level, after 4.0, a big set of things that we're starting to pay attention to are project IDs, fundraising, forward contracting, and the larger data weaving story and origination system. So this sets up a simple, powerful marketplace and some simple, powerful tools for data and credit minting, right? But then there's a whole nother set of pieces that are sort of currently in the design, discovery, specification phase that the team will start cranking on once this is up and running. So thanks, Ryan, for walking us through that. Dan, can I pass the baton over to you to share a little bit about the Storybot and Stargaze NFT and the built on Regen work that's happening here?
Absolutely. Yeah, so Storybot, if it's been around for a minute now in several servers, some of you may have already seen it being used specifically on Stargaze. It's used quite heavily over there. So yeah, so they were one of our grant recipients, and they really just like went to work like immediately and just knocked it out. So basically it's live on Discord right now. Again, it's on multiple servers. And I provided a link to their website there. That's how you actually add the bot to your Discord server. It's a really easy setup. You just basically provide the contract address for whichever NFT that you're using to token gate any of the channels that you're using. And that's really all you have to do. You can also, another feature that they have, it's not just NFTs, but they also have fungible tokens. So if there's any fungible tokens that you want to use for token gated access on your Discord server, they allow that too. So I think there's just a handful right now. One of which is being added currently is the Regen Token. So I'm not exactly sure when that's happening, but I got an update about a month ago, so I'm assuming that it should be just shouldn't be much longer to have Regen token integration there. But as far as the NFTs go, that's fully functional. Go ahead and play around with it.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. So just brief bridge update, and Ryan, jump in and correct me if I make any mistakes here. But unless you want to take it, which
I can start it out and just say that we're working with the Toucan team, and we're building a bridge service. And this first bridge service will support bridging assets from Polygon to Regen Network. And the initial bridge service, yeah, and vice versa, to from Polygon Bridge, and specifically the TCO2 tokens that are created on the Polygon network using the Toucan contracts. So we're working alongside a developer and a couple team members from the Toucan team to design and implement this bridge service. And that bridge will be launched separately from Regen Ledger 4.0, but we are including the functionality that the bridge service needs in Regen Ledger 4.0. So yeah, that's all I have to say on the bridge technical side at the moment.
So on the non-technical side, what this means is we've been delaying the launch of NCT liquidity on Osmosis for quite some time, because we wanted to have market efficiency between sort of interchain market efficiency between Polygon, where NCT is actively being traded, and Osmosis, where we wanted to set up liquidity, because we didn't want to have sort of like an artificial, disconnected market for IBC. So we postponed launching liquidity on Osmosis until this bridge is completed. Last I'm hearing, we're thinking we're going to have this bridge completed sometime in late July. So the other piece of information that I think is probably important for folks is that, there's been a lot of hubbub on refi Twitter about the recent Vera announcement around bridging carbon tons. Obviously, this has put a lot of attention on Regen Network as a sort of crypto native high quality credit origination system. So we're getting a lot of inbound requests for our credits moving out into various different ecosystems to sort of fuel the regenerative finance economy. So it's really nice that this is a two-way bridge, so credits can kind of flow out into other markets. Actually that turned out to be really exciting. It's funny because we were really focused on getting the credits over to provide liquidity, and now it looks like things might be flowing the other direction. So anyway, it's an interesting sort of scenario. So moving along here, market cap, liquidity you see there. So yeah, bear market, ouch. Quick note around upcoming events. I'm going to be in Austin if anybody else is there, or if people are there. I'm speaking at several different things, OsmoCon, at the sort of like main stage in the convention center that is doing consensus, and then another chat in the sort of main consensus bit. And then later we'll be doing an online sort of appearance with CoinGecko with GeckoCon. If people are interested in GeckoCon, I think I tweeted about this, but I have free passes if people want to attend that online summit. So just hit me up. I actually sent the instructions, or I tweeted the instructions. So without further ado, nice work moving through that quickly, team. And we have, time for Q&A. Also, if Will and Paul, if you guys want to share a little bit about the work that you've been doing on the data module, please feel free.
Hey, yeah, we could give a quick update. Basically, we've been working over the last few months, and especially in the last month, picking up a lot more time working on a implementation of an off-chain resolver. So this is where, like Ryan said, the actual data isn't stored on-chain. You have to use the IRI and the hash of that data to request it from an off-chain resolver. So we're working on an implementation of this resolver as well as a pinning service, which provides the service of anchoring and registering data on chain, so sending those transactions and managing that. And then the third piece is also indexing this graph data into a graph database to hopefully make it easier for like application level use cases of interacting with that data and viewing and maybe like attesting to this data. So that's kind of the update. The next steps are making it production ready. We think we're on track to have an initial implementation of this ready by the time 4.0 is released and the mainnet is upgraded. And then after that, it's kind of working through more specific application level use cases of what kind of data will be going through this whole process. And yeah,
that's super exciting.
It is very exciting. It's been a long time coming. So
yeah. Totally. We've all been working on this for years, it feels like, and which is true too. Right on. Well, I'm excited. I'm super excited about that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a very interesting couple of months post 4.0, because there's really, for the first time, going to be a set of user interfaces and tools for this community that's been slowly growing or quickly, depending on how you think about things. Like, we really have lots of demand and excitement about sort of like using all these tools to start playing with minting crypto native ecological assets, carbon credits, etc. And the data module is really what's going to underpin, being able to link that to make those claims verifiable, right? So that you can see the data that's underpinning it. And I'm super excited about that. Paul, do you guys have a particular first use case that you're excited about in terms of linking to FarmOS or sort of different open team projects and playing around a little bit with the data module?
We haven't been working towards any specific first use case. Everything up until now has been more abstract to support multiple use cases, but yeah, we are very interested in how this could connect to the projects both Will and I are working on, PowerSci and SurveyStack and FarmOS from Open Team. So yeah, that's very much of interest to us. I think we kind of need to talk with more folks about these use cases. So yeah, please reach out if you have ideas in mind.
I guess I could add too that this week we had the first Kulshan Carbon Trust working group meeting. So I think they could be a great initial use case. Or there are other projects that we could call out, like potentially something with like Regen Farmers Mutual, or some of these the ESMC project that we're working on with SoilStack. Any of these could be really interesting to start dabbling with, but yeah, we'd love to find some use cases and figure out how we could support them.
Nice. Yeah, I'd love to see the ESMC use case would be particularly interesting. I mean, all of them are interesting, but that one's interesting because it sort of it's sort of like an integration with an institutional approach to all of this, which I think is actually really important to sort of show the use cases and how the sort of data availability, data integrity layer, signing, anchoring, and compiling that to a digital registry of credits is actually super useful for their use case. I don't know that they've really wrapped their head around that yet. So it'd be interesting. It'd be fun to play around with that and sort of just be able to illustrate some of this in practice.
Totally.
Cool. Well, yeah, it looks like we have about 4 minutes left. Are there other questions, comments, conversation that wants to emerge here, or shall we give everybody back a little slice of their day? All right. Well,
Hi, Greg. I have a quick question, if you don't mind.
Great.
Yeah, the Ray from Staking on this side. Very happy to hear what you guys are doing. The question is about the bridging. So that the Toucan team is working on a bridge from and to the Polygon network. Can you share maybe if there are gonna be bridges to other networks like BNB or Avalanche or Polkadot?
Yeah, so I mean, I would say mostly our team is working on it, although Toucan is also contributing. This is an EVM bridge, so it will work for Polygon and Celo and Ethereum mainnet, probably with minor adjustments in each case, right? And then I think beyond that, the roadmap is really to engage with Axelar in order to sort of, and other decentralized bridges that are already doing multi-chain bridging to ensure that their capability we need to bridge eco credits, carbon credits that are retirable, in which the function of retirement is actually transferring between chains, which is very important to be possible, can be achieved, right? And so we needed quickly to move and sort of like build this and like get work done. Our aim at R&D Inc. is not to be in the business of building bridges. So we want to sort of like use, anchor this, use this to sort of like create some liquidity and some efficiency and solidify our partnership with Toucan. But then in the long run, I think this is mostly about doing work to make it possible for other bridges to integrate the functionality that is needed for eco credit, like multi-chain eco credit liquidity.
Got it. Thanks for that.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, it's an important and interesting conversation. I think ultimately we'd love to just be pushing all those ecosystems to just adopt IBC and make everybody's life easier.
Right? Yeah.
So, cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody for a great call. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Paul and Will, for sharing. Thanks everybody for taking a little time out of your day. Hope this has all been useful. And please go chime in and Commonwealth on the Regen Ledger 4.0 upgrade and on the signaling, the proposed signaling proposal around the allow list. Those are two important things. If you haven't already voted or you have questions about the Climate Wiki community spend, now is a good time to chime in, get into discourse around that, and see if we as a community want to support them. So have a great week, everybody. Maybe see some of you in Austin. Ciao.
Thanks. Bye.